there and welcome back to Japan, where I'm going to be giving you a review of Life is Beautiful by BiSH, and if you want to see the reaction, pause this video now, click the link in the description below and you'll be able to watch the reaction that I just did to this, because I'm about to give you the review. Sorry, we have to do it that way now. Are you ready? Don't say I didn't warn you. Here it comes. Alright, so my review of Life is Beautiful by BiSH, it basically starts off with the fact that this was one of those ones with a bit of a juxtaposition. I really like this. I do really like this. As tends to be the case with pretty much everything BiSH. However, it does paint a very interesting picture, which is that often with most of BiSH's work, not all, but often with most of it, there's a real sense that what they're doing is incredibly unique. This one seems to be an intentional attempt to draw on some tropes. I mean, like I say, pretty much everything in this song was kind of, once you'd heard the first verse and the chorus, versed all the way through to the chorus, pre-chorus and everything as well, you could kind of predict the rest of the song. You could predict, in the most unambitious, but it worked way of the sort of gentle rock and roll solo. You could predict how the last chorus came in with the quietening down. You could predict how the video was going to go, because we've seen this kind of video on a few songs before. This is not the first time we've seen this happen. But this has a quality that I often refer to, which is sometimes when a group or a band does something that on the surface looks particularly tropey, stereotypical, something that, like I say, we've seen before, and yet they manage to nail it. They do it in a way that really works. What I liked about this was that the song felt like it deserved, it felt like it lived up to all of the tropes. It had, sorry, my phone is ringing constantly. I don't know what that's all about. Apologies for all those sounds. It does this thing where it rings and then nothing happens. Don't know why you need to know about my phone notifications, but something on Twitter. Why would I care? No one ever responds to my tweets. So, as I was saying, when you have something that has a lot of tropes, the biggest issue is you want it to live up to those tropes, because you're going to be remembering all the other songs that it reminds you of. For a start, the musical style, ironically, although you could draw a lot of references because it was quite a simple sort of song, it reminded me a little bit of some of the British bands. I mean, you could sort of mention things like the Verve. I'd probably say more stuff like Feeder and, sort of bands who were good at doing those sort of melodramatic rock and roll sort of mid-tempo songs. It reminds you a little bit of those, but I think mainly the vibe I got is it reminded me a lot actually of Yanakoto Soto Mute, their Japanese sort of alternate idol, I guess you could say, peers. It had that quality of, it was a total lack of complication. It was basically a gentle guitar rock song with a melody that had good timing of like syllable usage, good rhythm in the vocals, as well as a very catchy chorus and, good melody. That sort of, it really was. This is a song that could have been a Yanakoto Soto Mute song. I don't know if this precedes them or not. I'm not really sure of the timescales for either this song or for YSM's existence. However, yeah, it felt like all of the things that made this song really good were the things that I've said about all, I think it's five songs I've heard by YSM so far. It had all of those qualities in that, like I say, again, to reiterate, but just to be more specific, it didn't have any arrangement complications. Basically what you're hearing in the background was little more than a simple beat, simple bass line, and a nice sort of jangly guitar line with a little bit of picking. And it was just how there's that campfire quality of the right chords with the right melody can sometimes sound bigger than even the biggest arrangement. And I'm someone who loves big arrangements. So, sort of interesting, detailed, nuanced arrangements. So for me to say that is, definitely means that, like I say, I really do enjoy the melody. This had a good, again, it was that other quality that reminds me a lot of those sort of late 90s British bands, though, was that the chorus was very, very simple. There was, sort of the same line repeated 3 times and then a finishing line after it. But in a way that it just kind of pulled the right emotional strings, pulled on the heartstrings in the right way. And it just, like I say, it felt like it was, also the way it went up, so it went up to a higher note than the verses had been. You felt like suddenly everything had lifted, but there was space between the notes and just enough emotional energy to pull you through. It was good in that it was simple. It wasn't too much. It was just enough. So yeah, this is one of those ones where I could say anyone who said, it was too simplistic, there wasn't enough to it, I could agree with that, but I do think it's one of those songs where it was all the right elements and not too much. Even down to the chorus being, like I say, extremely simple. It was just the right way of approaching it. And as this is clearly supposed to be a heartstring tugger, you don't want to overly complicate the issue. I mean, you want to go for something as a fairly simple approach. So I like the way this worked. I like the way it was constructed. I think it's good. I think it's also engaging enough and emotionally interesting enough. And like I say, the chorus was good enough in a weird way, in a weird, simple way, that I do think it's one that would probably stay with me, that I would be inclined to come back to if I wanted something like this, which had a little bit of emotional depth to it, a bit of melancholy to it. This would be a song I'd be probably inclined to come back to. There's a lot of competition for this kind of crown, you know, the sort of melancholy, emotional song. There's a lot of them going around, as you guys probably know. A lot of the classics are of that ilk. So, yeah, it says a lot that I think this is a song that I would probably come back to if I wanted something like this. Last but not least, the video, like I say, I might as well mention that because we've all seen that video before in some kind, haven't we? They start off as babies, they grow up together, they know each other their entire lives, they're in love their entire, you know, they fall in love, they have their story, and then one of them dies, and the video always ends with the other one mourning the loss of the first one. We've seen that before. This was played off in a fairly straight shooting way. It's like one of those ones, you use the classic story and it always works. It was a nice little heartstring tugger. It felt like, oh, but yeah, it didn't really have much impact because, like I say, we've seen that done before. I guess you could juxtaposition that with the music, whereas, like I say, the music managed to live up to the trope. The video was kind of in line with the trope. You know, it wasn't like it was just a bad copy of things we've seen before. And I like the little techniques, like how they did the background, how that eventually turned into the title card for the song at the end. It's not like it was bad in any way, but it also probably wouldn't stand out. I think we've seen this kind of, like I say, melancholy, emotional, life is beautiful, but in the end it's tragedy sort of thing before. Probably handled a little bit better, but like I say, not to say this was handled badly. So, yeah, overall, good solid package, video and song. Definitely in regards to the song, I think it's nothing wrong with the video, like I say, just doesn't particularly stand out. The song would be, well, it sounds so harsh when you're talking about a video which is about people dying, but they're not real people, they're actors. Well, wait, actors are real people, but their characters are not real. Shut up. So the song, though, I think in its own very simple way is powerful enough in its simplicity that I do think it's worth revisiting, and I do think it's one that would stick with me and be one that I would come back to, certainly even in a BiSH playlist. Again, I'm really amazed and impressed and just so happy with how varied they are, and I do just hope, one last thing, that the CD version does not have a crying baby at the beginning, because yeah, you've got a crying baby at the beginning, but you don't have the sound of someone dying at the end, so it's like, no, I don't want that balanced out. Just remove that sound. So anyway, I'm waffling now. As always, get in there, give me your opinions. Tell me what you think of this as well. How you think it stacks up on its own or against other songs or videos that have a similar sort of approach. And yeah, I'm looking forward to reading those, getting involved in those comments. If you want to do more talking with us, remember that you've also got the links in the description below to all of our social medias. And on top of that as well is the Patreon, because a big thank you to our Patreon supporters for, oh, it's so true, keeping this channel alive. We wouldn't still be here. We wouldn't have this lighting. We wouldn't be able to do all this stuff if it wasn't for you guys. So massive thank you to you guys, the Patreon supporters. And thank you to anyone who's made it through to the end of this video where we are now. Thank you so much for viewing. And hopefully I'll see you soon on the next video. But until then, for now, ciao, ciao.